Hey everyone, it's Dena, and welcome back. And if you're new to my channel, howdy, I'm glad you made it. Today I'm unboxing the June 2025 Bargain Bead Box, and this month's theme is called Tranquil Tides. We're going to take a close-up look at everything inside this beachy, serene collection, and I'll walk you through each item one by one. After the unboxing, I'll be sharing a quick tutorial using some of the items from the box, and maybe I'll even do a design on the fly project. If you're following along and want to create something similar, be sure to check the supplies list that's listed at the end of the video. Also, I've added links in the description box below for items that aren't included in the subscription box, like my go-to seed beads, my wildfire and dragon thread that I use, as well as the needles that I use. So feel free to click on those to see if you need to get any of those to stock up. So let's dive into Tranquil Tides and get inspired. Meet you back in a minute. Alrighty, so here are the first 12 out of 22 items that we get in this month's box. So we'll go through each one of them one by one. So bring this a little bit closer to the camera so you can see it better. So this is the first item, and it is a 31 by 15 millimeter blue spot jasper and brass teardrop pendant. It is lead and cadmium free. So this is your pendant, and this is what it looks like on the back. Very, very nice. I love this blue spot jasper. That is very pretty. I love the blue and the white and everything. That's very, very nice. I like that. Especially with this color of findings that we're getting in this month's box. That looks really nice together. So number 2 is going to be 2 pieces of 13 by 14 millimeter Chalcedony starfish charms. And the Chalcedony is dyed. And they are in the color of coral pink. And so you get your 2 little starfishes. Or starfish, I guess the plural for starfish is starfish, but they look the same on both sides. So that's the one side, and then that was the other side. So they're the same on both sides. So very nice, very cute. And here's the star of the show. This is number 3. This is a 15 by 25 millimeter lampwork glass octopus bead, and its color is dotted blue. And this little guy is so cute. And that's what he looks like underneath. He's got just a bunch of white underneath, and then that's your top view of him. So he's very, very cute. Got to figure out something to do with him, because that's just too cute not to use. He's cutie. Alrighty, so in the bag number 4 is a 15-inch strand of 8 millimeter blue spot jasper round beads. So you've got the blue spot jasper, and as I kind of move it around in the little dish here, you can see the differences in the gemstone itself, how it ranges from the blues with a little bit of whites to a really, really darker blue over here, almost to a black color. You get a little bit of browns every once in a while. Very similar to sodalite, which is actually this bead right here. And we'll go through that in just a second, but it's very similar to that, but it looks very, very nice. I really like that different color combination of the blues and the whites with a little bit of browns in there, and then you've got the darker, deeper blues and stuff. I really like that bead. Really, really nice. Love the color combination of this box. So this is bag number 5, and it is a 7-inch strand of 4 by 2 millimeter sodalite round rondelle beads. Trying to say round and rondelle at the same time wasn't coming out right. So here's your little rondelle. It's kind of like a hishi bead in a way. So because it's very I guess it's a round bead like that, but it's kind of squared off. It's got a really harsh edge to it, not like sharp or anything, but just a harsh edge to make it look more like a hishi bead would. But you see the differences in colors there. Again, you got more of the white right here, all the way to the deeper blues, like this one's almost solid and deep blue, and you've got a little bit of browns that pop through every once in a while too. So that's your typical sodalite. So I really like sodalite. It's one of my favorite beads to work with, my favorite gemstones to work with. So bag number 6 is a 7-inch strand of 10 millimeter banded agate round beads, and these are dyed and heated. And I love agate. You get all sorts of different colors, you get different formations in the gemstone and everything. It's one of those beads that's just, it's fun to work with. because you get differences in so many different things. And then there you see a little bit of brown in that one. This one I was trying to get it to turn around a little bit so you can see more of the banded look to it. So you have a little bit of banding in that one. And each bead is a little bit different than the next, but you can always find two similar type beads that you can make hare's earrings out of if you wanted to. These are good to use in necklaces, bracelets, all sorts of different jewelry items. So banded agate is fun to work with. Bag number 7 is going to be a 7-inch strand of 6mm peach rainbow moonstone round beads, and these are also dyed. So every once in a while you can look at the bead really closely, and then you'll see a little bit of a sparkle in it, and then that just kind of reminds you of sand, what the sand does and everything, and it sparkles in the sunlight and all like that. So very pretty, very nice, very good color to use in this combo. Bag number 8 is 10 pieces of 10mm blue spot jasper melon beads. So you get something that looks kind of like a melon, and so it's like it's kind of like squished. There we go. I can just pick one up like that and kind of get it a little bit further away from the camera so it can focus a little bit. But you can see that there's I don't know what to call that, ridges. It's kind of like it's got 8 sides to it, basically. Kind of like an octagon. There, you can see it better like that. So now you can see, or I guess that's 6 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that's like a hexagon. So that's the way it's shaped, is something similar to that. So it's kind of like a melon bead, but those are really pretty. Bag number 9 is going to be 10 pieces of 12 by 11mm synthetic coral shell beads. Now these are man-made beads, but these are really fun. They're different. Something fun to use. And then that's your front side of your shell. And then your bottom side looks like that. So it's a little, I think they're called nautilus shells if I remember correctly. And then your hole goes down the center. So that's where your hole is right there. Then it comes out down here at the bottom. So your next one is really one that if I were to see this on a list of things that you could purchase from, I probably would never purchase something like this. But it coming inside this box like that, I think it goes along so well. It's so kind of cute. This is going to be 10 pieces of 10 by 14mm glass fish beads in slate blue iris. So it's just literally a bead that looks like a fish, and you've got your hole that goes down the center. So it goes through the mouth of the fish towards the bottom. So it goes this way. So those are different, very neat. Like I said, if I were to see these somewhere, I probably would never purchase one of these type of beads like this, but with it coming in the kit like this, it just fits perfect. It's a good option, good, neat little fun discovery on that one. So bag number 11 is 15 inches of 4 by 3mm crystal faceted rondelles in matte pink champagne. So it's a very good, just typical crystal rondelle. It's matte, and it's got a little bit of sparkle to it every once in a while, but not too much of a sparkle because it's the matte bead. And then bag number 12 is 15 inches of 6 by 4mm crystal faceted rondelle beads in steel blue shimmer. It's a very, very nice light blue color where you have just a little bit of blue shining through, and you still have a lot of the crystal type color that comes through also. So a very, very nice rondelle bead to have in stock. So that is the first 12 bags. So meet me back, and then we'll look at the last bags that come in the box. Alrighty, so here are bags number 13 through 22. So we're getting into most of the findings. We got one more crystal to go through. So this one is bag number 13, right here. It is 20 pieces of 8mm crystal faceted round beads in Magma AB. So these are really pretty, and that really reminds me of sand, because you've got more of the orangey colors and how sand sometimes kind of sort of looks like that. And then you've got more of the creamer colors and stuff on the inside of the bead. So very, very pretty. I really like that. It kind of reminds me almost more like the sun than sand, but very, very pretty. I like that. Very good color to work with all of these blues and the antique coppers and stuff. Very nice. So this one is bag number 14. It's going to be 6 pieces of 22 by 9 Seahorse charms. They are lead, nickel, and cadmium free. So I know I said I was going to do a design on the fly, but I'm probably going to use these. I pulled these out when I was looking at everything, and I'm like, okay, these are really, really cute. I really, really like these. So I'm probably going to do more than likely a pair of earrings, just because that's usually what I do in my unboxings. And then I'll probably use these guys. So if you want to follow along, then keep these out as well, because these are very cute, and they are actually facing each other. So this is the front side, that's the back side, and vice versa. So detailed on both sides. And then these guys are a close cuteness and close second in cuteness. So that was hard to say. This is going to be 4 pieces of 16 by 13 millimeter turtle charms. They are also lead, nickel, and cadmium free. So here's the underside of the turtle. So it's got a little bit of design on the underside as well as the top side of the turtle. So there again, very, very cute. Probably will use these in a design as well very shortly. And then this is bag number 16. It'll be 4 pieces of 27 millimeter swirled oval links. These are also lead, nickel, and cadmium free. And they are the same on both sides. So you've got the same type of design on both sides on it, and then you've got the holes on either ends. These type of links, though, actually have enough holes around the edge that if you wanted to do something brick stitch wise, you can always do a little bit of brick stitch around the edge too, just to give it a little bit more color or a little bit more depth. So that may be something I might come back and try to do something like that. We'll see. This is bag number 17, and you're going to get 20 pieces of 8mm swirl coin beads. These are lead and cadmium free. So you've got the same design on both sides. And they are a little hefty because they are a lead bead, or just, you know, a heavy bead that's lead free. Sorry, they're just a heavy metal bead is what I meant to say. But so they're a little bit more heftier, so be careful with using a bunch of these in an earring, because it might give too much of a weight to your earring. Just 1 or 2 of them would be perfectly fine though. And then this is bag number 18. This will be 20 pieces of 8mm swirled bead caps, and they are lead and cadmium free as well. So you've got just a really nice cute little swirl design. It goes along very well with these metal beads right there, because it's almost the exact design on here, just you've got several around the bead cap. You've got 4 of them. You have one here, one at the top, one on the left and the right, when you're looking at it like that. And then there's the underside of the bead cap. And then bag number 19 is going to be your chain. This is called Lumachina chain. So it's a different shape. I don't see this very often, but it's a shape like that. And you get 39 inches, I believe. I've lost my place. We're on G, so 1 meter. So 1 meter is about 39 inches, and it's a 6.5 by 2.5mm Lumachina jewelry chain in antique copper. So very pretty. I really like that. Gives you more of that swirl type feel to the chain and everything. Then this is bag number 20. Something I love dearly is some magnetic clasps. I absolutely love to use magnets in my clasps, especially for my bracelets. And I know that sometimes is kind of a hindrance to some people, because sometimes they can fall off easily and things like that. But I do like to use them because dexterity issues is an issue for a lot of people. So trying to use a lobster clasp, and sometimes even a toggle clasp, is something that could be really hard for some people to do. So I use magnets a whole lot in my bracelets. So this is your magnets, or your clasp, that you're getting in the kit this time. You get 2 pieces of 14 by 8mm. They are brass, and they are in the color antique copper. So there's your clasps. Then you get 2 little bonus bags. You get a bag of 5 grams of 21 gauge brass head pins. They're lead, nickel, and cadmium free. And then you also get 20 pieces or 10 pairs of nickel-free ear wires in antique copper. So that is your Bargain Bead Box 2025 in June, called Tranquil Tides. So meet me back in just a few moments, and then I'll get a few things out and we'll see if we can make a pair of earrings. So go ahead and get your seahorses out if you want to follow along, get a pair of your earrings out if you want to follow along, and then I'll have everything else that you need here in just a minute. See you back. Alrighty, so here is my idea that I'm going to do. I have my 10mm beads out, which these are the round banded agate from bag number 6. And then I have my he-she type beads. I should have kept these beads out. These are the sodalite ones. There it is, bag number 5. These are the 4x2mm sodalites. And then I have the seahorse ones that are bag number 14. Then I have the bonus bag of the ear wires out, and then these two things are extra. These are just 4mm jump rings that I have in a thin gauge. I couldn't tell you exactly what gauge that is, but more than likely it's probably a 22 gauge, something like that. And then I have 11O Miyuki seed beads out. This is in the color of, what is it, opaque dark cream, I think? Yeah, opaque dark cream, and it's Miyuki's number 492. I'll have that information down in the bottom, as well as some links that if you need to purchase either one of these things, and or the needle or the thread, like I said in the very beginning, you can always follow those links and get those if you need them. So I think I'm going to try to do a brick stitch pattern around the large bead using the he-she beads as well as the seed beads. And then after that pattern is done, I'm going to try to attach the seahorse down at the bottom, and then at the top I'll try to use another jump ring, which I think I need to get 2 more jump rings out, didn't think about that, and then attach the ear wire to that. So let's see how this works. So pick out 2 of your large 10mm beads that are somewhat close in color. I picked out ones that, you know, this one has a little bit of banding on it, the one on the top, and then this one has a little bit of banding on that side, so they were pretty close enough to for me to be able to use them in a pair of earrings. So I'm going to go through the bead, and I pull it down towards the end of the thread. Now I do have a lot of thread on my needle right now. I usually start off with about a wingspan of thread whenever I'm starting a project, and I have no idea how much thread I'm going to be using. That's usually what I start off with, just so I don't have to keep adding thread constantly. And then I'm going to go back through the bead one more time. Actually, we're going to go back through it a couple of times, so we're going to go back through it this one time. That way that will create one strand of thread off to the side. I'm going to go ahead and do that one more time on this side, and I'll tell you what I mean in just a second. So make sure that this second loop falls just pretty close to the first loop. Then I'm going to turn the bead. You don't have to do this because you could just move the thread around, but I just do it just to make it easier for myself. So now those threads that we just added on are on the left hand side rather than the right. And then I'm going to go through the bead 2 more times again. And that just puts 2 more threads on this side of the bead. Now with this being a round bead, sometimes it's a little bit more difficult to do brick stitch like this and put this many rounds of thread around the edges. Just try your best at it, and if you need to, you can always leave the thread bridges a little looser than typical, and when you add the beads around the edges, it'll help tighten it up. So then now it should look something similar to that. So now I'm going to flip it again in my hands, so that way I know that this was the first 2 passes that I put on the bead. So I'm going to start my brick stitch using going in this direction, because I always bead clockwise whenever I do brick stitch. So the first part of brick stitch, you always pick up 1 bead, and then you pick up your middle bead, and then you pick up a second one. So you're always adding 2 beads. And this particular one, I did say pick up 1, pick up your middle bead, and then pick up your second one, only because I'm going to do only 1 pass of brick stitch. You can always do 2 passes of brick stitch if you wish to, or you can just pick up your rondelles and then come back and add your 11 O's afterwards. But this is how I do this. So you always start off with 2 rather than 1 bead, and then you go underneath the bridge thread like that. That lays the beads on top. Then you go back up through the last bead that you added. And then usually what I do is I try to not necessarily pull really tight, but just pull to where these 2 beads right here, so in our case the sodalite beads, are sitting close enough to each other that you're comfortable and happy with it. And then what we'll end up doing is attaching our either ear wire or the seahorse to one of the middle beads here around the edge, like that. Alright, so as you can tell, my thread is kind of getting a little loose there, so you just have to kind of play around with it. So then your next stitch you would pick up 3 of your seed beads, and then another one of your rondelles, and then go up under the bridge thread, pull it down to the product, and then go back up through that last bead that you added, which in our case is a rondelle. And then I would just ever so slightly just kind of pull it until it sits like that, somewhat close to the other rondelle. And I'm just kind of playing with the other threads and stuff like that just to see how it's going to look and work and stuff. So that's going to be what I'm going to do, this first part. So I'm going to do it one more time. And throw it all over the place. Oh my. Okay. So let's see what we did there, because that just got all wrapped up in each other. Like big time wrapped up. Okay, so we've got a starter thread in the middle of it, so we'll get that out. And then we have this thread all wrapped up in it somewhere, so we're going to go back through here. And there we go. That should have taken care of it. Okay, so there we go. And like I said, it's a round bead, so I am having a little bit of issues with trying to keep it to where it'll be around the bead rather than getting it squished. Because see how the thread paths are kind of going like this in a way rather than straight up and down. That's going to happen with brick stitch. You just have to kind of play with it and make sure that it's loose enough for you, but also to where it's tight enough for you as well. I almost forgot to go back through the bead, so let's go back through the bead real quick. Just like that. Okay, I'll add one more since I kind of messed up on that last one. That kind of puts us to the middle part of the bead anyway. And I don't even know how many of these little rondelles I'm going to end up using, because I have not done the first pair or the first earring yet. This is me just doing this just to see how it's going to work, and hopefully it works. So it's kind of a design on the fly, because I have no idea if this is going to work or not. So now we're on the other side of the wrapped loops, at least for the bead that are wrapped around the bead. And then there we go. And I just keep moving that bridge thread around just a little bit just to make sure that it's tight enough, but not like ultra tight. And then just kind of keep going until you get close to the other side. I've got probably 2 more rondelles to add, and then I'll probably be to the end. Yeah, I'd say 1, 2, yeah, maybe 2, maybe just 1. We'll have to see what the size is. The reason why I'm trying to figure out how many to use is that you don't want it so tight that your brick stitch starts to buckle some. Yeah, I'm going to have to add another one, I think. Because I think this is going to be too far, yeah, it's going to be too far away from each other. So there's still enough room in between this last rondelle that I added and then this first one before, to be able to connect it and connect the two. So I'm going to go ahead and add an extra one. Now your counts may be a little bit different because these are gemstones that we are using. The little rondelle Hishi type beads. So they are gemstones. So your count may be slightly different than mine. Just do what looks right for you as far as how many to use. Alright, so to end this, we already have that first bead sitting there. We already have the first bead sitting there. We already have the last bead sitting there. So all we have to do is just add 3 of our seed beads. So we're coming out of that last bead. We're going to go back through the first Hishi bead that we added. Just like that. And I'm coming towards the front. You can go towards the back too. Because you want to make sure that you go up underneath one of the bridge threads. It really doesn't matter if it was the bridge thread that was more on the left of the bead, of the center bead, or the one that was more on the right hand side of the center bead. Doesn't matter, it just needs to go up or underneath one of those, and then we need to go back up through the first bead, and I've kind of lost track as to which one that is. I think it's this one. Pretty sure it's this one. So you want to go back up through that last bead, or that first bead, because that ends up being kind of that's now basically the last bead. I don't think that made any sense, but hopefully that did make a little bit of sense to somebody. So then now you have a brick stitch around. So I ended up I used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 9 of the Hishi beads around. So I think I'm going to use, let's see, we can probably do, let's see, since it's an odd number, we're going to want the seed bead, or the horseshoe, to sit in the middle of one of these. So to do it to make it look even, we're going to need something probably over here to connect to be able to add our ear wire. So with that being the case, I think I'll do it right here. Is I'm just going to go through those 3 seed beads on the top, still going in a clockwise direction. And I think I'm going to add just 1 seed bead here, and then go through the next 3 seed beads. And that's all I'm going to do. And then that's the seed bead that I'll use to add another jump ring so I can add my ear wire to it. Or if you wanted to, this looks kind of nice, you can just kind of finish it out if you wanted to. Maybe we should do that. Okay, so that's 1 seed bead. Would 1 seed bead going around be enough? You would just have to make sure everything would be loose, because some of these places might need 2 seed beads. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and finish out the round. So I just picked up another 1 seed bead and going through the next 3. And I'm not pulling tight at all. I'm just keeping it pretty loose, because on some of these it looks like you can probably put 2 seed beads in between, but I'm just going to add 1, I think. I think that looks a little bit better. And you've got the white of the thread kind of showing through every once in a while, which is fine, I think. Some seed beaded items are beaded items you don't want to see thread at all. And then other times I think it kind of adds to the design and showing that it's actually handmade and it's not made by a machine. Okay, so I have 2 more after this one to add. And then, like I said, I'm keeping this really nice and loose, not pulling tight at all, just pulling it tight enough to where I get the bead to sit in between the 3. And then I'm going back through the last 3. And then now we need to get to a point where we can tie off. So yeah, I think that looks nice. I think that helps to kind of close it up some. Alright, so we are almost right to where the hole is. The hole of the big bead is right back here, like that. So what we can do, we just went through the 3 right here that was in between those 2 those 2 rondelles that we added. So I'm going to go back down through the rondelle that's on the right hand side. And then since we are sitting right next to the hole, we do have to move over some, but we're sitting right next to the hole, so it's basically going to look like another little bridge thread back here in the back. We're going to go straight down the hole down here. And I'm about to run out of time on my camera, so I'm going to go ahead and tie off on this, and then I will pause my camera and come right back so I don't lose a recording, because I think my recordings are only set up to be able to record 20 minutes at a time. So there you go. So I'll tie that off and then come back and we'll finish off the earring. Meet you back in just a second. Alrighty, so I probably had enough time in my my camera to be able to finish that, but I was afraid that I would lose part of it, so I didn't want to have to redo anything. So I'm going to go ahead and take one of my 4mm jump rings. I already have one of them open because I was testing it earlier to make sure they would go through the 11-ohs. So definitely test it before you get to this point to see if it's going to go through an 11-oh or not. If you need to change out to 8-ohs instead of 11-ohs, that's perfectly fine to do. You would just have a different number of counts. Rather than adding 3 seed beads, you may only end up having to add 1 or maybe 2 of the 8-ohs in between your Hishi beads. So, make sure I'm turning to the right hand, or the front side of it. So I have one of the beads, or the jump rings on, and I'm going to try to get through one of the seed beads. And it may be a little difficult, but hopefully I can get it through. Nope, that one has 2 threads. I want to go through one that only has 1 thread, not 2. So let me see if I can find one that is far enough away, but will allow me to get through it. Come on, I need to go through one of the middle ones. That's why I keep having problems finding one that only has 1 thread through it. I keep trying to go through one of the bridge thread ones that has 2 threads through it. There we go. There we go. See, I knew it worked. It was just being difficult. Alright, and then we're going to take our seahorse. We're going to add the seahorse first. So I just put the seahorse on the little jump ring. And use my other pair of pliers and close that guy up. So then now it looks like that, with our little seahorse down on the bottom. So now we need to open up the other pair of, or the other jump ring, and then I want to go kind of directly across as much as possible, and try to get through one that has 2 strands of thread through it, which is this guy right here. See if it works. Come on, you can do it. It's like almost going through. Is it too much thread? Oh, it works. Ha! It's working. It's working. It's working. Okay, I love it when it works. Okay, so now that is going to be the front of my earring, so I'm going to make sure that I put the ear wire on facing the back. And then close this one up. And you now have a cute little earring with your little seahorse attachment. We did a little bit of a brick stitch around our bead. Thanks so much for joining me for this unboxing and mini tutorial. I hope you enjoyed exploring Tranquil Tides collection as much as I did. If you're interested in creating this look or adapting it to your own design, don't forget to pause on the supplies list at the end of the video. And if you're missing anything like specific seed beads, needles, or thread, I've linked those for you in the description box down below. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like more tutorials and unboxings like this one. And let me know what you would make with this month's box in the comments. Thanks again everyone for watching. I'll see you on the next video. Bye now.